The boys are back in town. It's VGC, the video game podcast, with me, Jordan Medler, Chris Scullion, and Andy Robinson. This week, Chris Scullion is massive in Japan, I'm massive in Canada, and Andy is massive everywhere he goes. But first, how's it going, folks? Chris Scullion, you survived a brisk trip to Japan. How are you?
Mate, you see if I make it to the end of this.
I remember you joking about this, like going, ho, 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 I'm going to land and then get an overnight megabus. And we were going, are you mental? And you're like, nah, it's fine.
But it would have been fine, but so much conspired against me.
Who could have known?
We could save it for later if you want, because there's a story behind this.
Were there other cars on the road?
No,
It's okay, Chris. You're second up on the news agenda, so we will get your we'll get 1% of your Japan trip and 99% of your megabus escapades. Andy, how are you?
Yeah, I'm all right. What's going on in my world?
You've just slipped on a PC.
Yeah, I just my light wasn't working, so I had to get under my desk and unplug it and plug it back in again. And while I was doing it, I accidentally pressed my lips against the vent on my PC and breathed in some dusty PC air. So I'm going to die now.
Pressed my lips, Your Honour. There's no
I accidentally put a straw up to it.
Why did you do it for a full minute?
Oh.
Just to make sure it was as bad as I thought it was.
Oh, I'm feeling rough this morning. Last night I played 8-a-side, and towards the end of the game, it's a mixed ability game. So there's some younger guys, there's some older guys. One of the older guys went to take a shot. Both legs went away from him, and he just landed flat in his back. And he went, "Oh!" and immediately started holding his chest. And I was like, "That's it. This is the first death at 8-a-side. It's the first death at the pits I've ever seen." But he was fine. It was one of those where I do wonder if, because the shot was so terrible, he was like, "Oh, I'll pretend that I'm injured so I can get away with it." You know, like when real players miss kick or something like that, they're like, "Oh, my hamstring. Oh, that's that away now." But yeah, I've decided to buy this massage gun, this large vibrating pulse.
Oh, I really want one of those.
It's great. Genuinely,
that's a middle-aged man gun.
Yeah, it's sorted me out. I woke up this morning, shot it into my hip, and I thought, here we go. I don't know what it does. It's probably causing more damage than it's actually fixing, but it makes me feel temporarily better.
Just for those on the audio version of the podcast, he was holding up something that looks like it's not designed to go in the hip. If you catch my drift,
it's a pneumatic drill with a large pulsing ball on the end of it. You know,
aren't we all?
Yeah, pretty much. But it's great. You should get one. It's a proper pointless mankind kind of gadget show type of bit of kit. But yeah, that's our very old man update. Couple of points before we get into it. This is your final call to win a PlayStation 5. Head to VGC and just put in the search bar, "win a PS5" with our friends at Alaskan Road Truckers, and that'll tell you how to do it. We have an energy drink review coming up. But first, VGC is now on Patreon. As you're listening to this, you can check out patreon.com/videogameschronicle to support our work. For more on this, we go to Andy Robinson.
I wasn't expecting that. I thought you were going to do it. I'm joking. Yeah, I mean, so obviously, I mean, it's been no secret that it's been a pretty tough time for journalism, especially in the games industry right now. I mean, we've all seen kind of the headlines about, you know, not just the games industry, but kind of the websites around it, and lots of closures and job losses. You know, we've not been entirely immune to that. You know, we've had to cut our own budgets, you know, kind of in the last 6 months. You're always kind of feeling you know, especially an independent publication like us, it was entirely independent. You feel that pressure a bit more, as you guys know. I mean, our audience has kind of been going from strength to strength, but that doesn't really matter when you solely rely on the advertising market, which we always kind of like, you know, there was always this debate through my career about, like, do we work in the games industry or do we not work in the games industry? And I always argued we didn't, right? Because as journalists, we're beholden to media law and stuff like that, which basically spells out that we're not in the games industry. But it's a bit of a pointless, a mute argument. Yeah. When you actually start your own, you know, independent site business, you realize how how cyclical everything is. If the games industry has a bad year, we have a bad year. So in that sense, we kind of are, kind of inside it. But this has been something that I never really thought about, if I'm completely honest. I never thought about initially. Patreon is not something that, or kind of getting funding direct from our readers is not something I initially considered for VGC, but it's something that, and this sounds like a cop-out, but it's absolutely true. And Jordan can back this. We just had so many readers say to us, I wish you had a Patreon. Yeah. Wish I could back you guys, to support you guys, help you kind of do more of this stuff. And it's all very, very organic and very authentic from that sense that, we're all having a tough time, but also by doing a Patreon, it allows us to do more of this sort of content.
Yeah.
To do more video, more podcasts, more community features, as well as kind of supporting our day to day, which is always going to remain as it is.
Yeah. That's kind of the main thing. VGC, as you know it, doesn't change. This podcast does not change, but it's a bit of a taster of what you're going to get. We've got 3 tiers, and we're kicking it off pretty simply. The supporter tier gets you an extra monthly retro podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, we're giving you probably the most requested thing in the history of VGC, more retro content. You'll also get commenting privileges on VGC and our new weekly newsletter. The next tier, Insider, is probably the second most requested thing when I asked a while ago. An off-topic podcast. That means more energy drinks, more wrestling, more Scottish football, more Andy shaking his head because me and Chris are just talking about shops that shut down in Glasgow 10 years ago. You'll also get a monthly Q&A with us that will kind of lift the hood, tell you what's going on, that kind of thing. You're also going to get video content on Patreon that wouldn't really fit on our YouTube channel. For example, when me and Chris recently went to the Scottish Games Museum, we filmed a stupid video that we think you guys will really like, but if we put it on our YouTube channel that is more general interest, the people that come to us for Sonic and Shadows gameplay, they're going to go, who are these guys? What are they doing? Why are they making these why are they doing these tired old Charlie Brooker bits? But we know that the VGC audience kind of wants to see that stuff from us, so that'll be in there. And then the highest tier, the season ticket holder, you'll get a credit in every VGC video. That'll probably go on a kind of rolling schedule. So every month I'll get the list of credits, and for that month, they'll be the end of videos. And we'll also shout you out on the Patreon podcasts. All of those will also come with Discord roles, and that's basically what we're offering to kick things off. Chris, a retro podcast finally.
Finally, the dream becomes a reality. It only took.
Do you know anyone who would be good for that?
Old Max?
Yeah, I don't know anyone who knows retro stuff, so I'll need to ask
Matthew Castle.
Oh, listen. Anyway, the important thing I think to point out is that, like you were saying before, this is extra content on top of what's already on VGC. So obviously times are tough for people just now. So if you're listening to this thinking, well, I can't afford to support them, what does that mean? Then that's fine. Like the site and the podcast remains exactly as it was for you. Like you don't lose anything. We're not. I've seen that there have been Patreons in the past where people have said we need you to support us, so we're going to withhold content from you that you would have usually got for free in the past. That's not the case here. Like if you don't support us, then the situation remains the same. But if you do, then you get extra content on top of what you would usually get. So it's not. We're not.
It's like I said. It's very organic. It's very authentic. Yeah. It allows us to do more of this stuff because the thing that all the entire kind of games market is feeling right now, not just us but everyone, and especially the independent sites like us, is that when times are tough, you feel the pressure to keep the lights on, right? Yeah. And to spend less of the time doing the content that readers actually want. Mm-hmm. And that would a Patreon would allow us to do more of that content, to focus less on that. So, what I'd say is that if you appreciate what we do, please go and have a look at our Patreon. I think what is the link, Jordan? We should probably have it.
Patreon.com/Video Games Chronicle. That's Patreon.com/Video Games Chronicle.
If you appreciate what we do, please have a look at our tiers. Consider backing us. We really appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thanks very much.
apparently patreon.com/VGC goes to a Christian podcast, which couldn't be further from what we are trying to establish here.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
I think they're literally called Very Good Christians, which was the original name for this website before we got struck down. But yes, patreon.com.
I'll reveal that on Patreon. I'll do that on a post. Names we considered. I've got a Excel spreadsheet somewhere with
Spunk.com.
Alternative names.
Your money on Patreon is going to fund energy drink reviews. So this week we've got Monster Energy Ultra Strawberry Dreams, which has been out in the UK for a little while now.
That's how much money we expect to earn from this Patreon, is £1.85 a month to buy one energy drink a month for Jordan.
With your money, you can support Jordan Midler's energy drinks. Just £1.89 a month.
That's worth noting, by the way. I know I'm digressing on the comedy segment, but this is something that we're just doing. We're launching it today. And then we're going to kind of see how it goes and develop it from there, right?
Yeah.
So we want to hear feedback from everyone from what they want to see. I mean, this is us guessing on what sort of things we could offer.
Yeah, this will
But if anyone has any, ideas or requests on where we should take it, then do it. Like, if you want a tier where Jordan does a bespoke energy drink review for you,
come on now,
let us know.
For you.
I will drink whatever you want.
The cameo of energy drink reviews.
This is just going to...
He will test your energy drink. Just send it in.
He will test your urine. If you send Jordan your urine, he will review it.
Yeah. Speaking of urine...
What flavour is this?
This is Ultra Strawberry Dreams. Oh my god, right, we've got a brand new blurb. Some people swear that strawberries are aphrodisiacs. They say if you share a double strawberry with someone, then they'll catch feelings for you. All we know is the flavour of this heart-shaped fruit is perfect for our new Zero Sugar Ultra. Wonderfully sweet, while slightly tart, that's what they say about me. The easy drinking Ultra tastes like a dream. Passionately crafted with the Monster Energy blend you crave. Take one sip and you'll be crazy for Ultra Strawberry Dreams. Unleash the Ultra Beast.
I've got one even worse for you.
Nice.
After that, is the drink good?
It's nice. It's just I like a strawberry.
Have you fallen in love?
Flavoring.
If you
I'm in love
put
with
two strawberries together.
Yeah. So I went to the shops today and they had I took the whole shelf of Strawberry Dreams because frankly, if you're going to do, as our fellow energy drink scientist Jeff Gersman said, if you're going to do science, you have to peer review it. So I'll be drinking all of these over the course of this podcast.
Good,
but yeah, it's pretty good. It's going to be in the regular rotation for me. We'll talk about Canada later, but big shout out the selection of energy drinks in Canada, unbelievable. The rock stars out of this world. But Chris, you've been in the land of milk and honey, so tell us what you've got.
So I don't have a Japanese one this time. I annoyingly
you get over the border.
Bought a load of Japanese ones and then left them behind in the fridge by mistake when I went to my next hotel. So whoever got the hotel,
Muppet.
whoever got the hotel after me is going to
just like the fridge buzzing off of his tail.
Just go big fridge full of absolute like pure energy. So just before I left, I don't know if you're aware of the Try It boxes that you can sign up for, where they send you free samples and stuff to try.
Yes.
And on rare occasions they'll get in touch with you and say, do you want to try a prototype or something, and then discuss it on social media. Now, given my media job, I can't really start promoting stuff on social media, but I figured that since it's an energy drink, we could talk about it here. So I've not tried it. This is Sifa Shift.
Oh God!
I know it says at the bottom. It's hard to see, but it says at the bottom.
Like that.
Prototype. It says at the bottom, so it's not out yet. There's no barcode. There's no barcode. This is a prototype.
I never expected Chris Scullion would be the star of the next Activision third-person action game.
So it came in a box, right? 2 wee tiny vials like this in a box, right? And the box has the most infuriating blurb I've ever seen on it. As soon as I opened it, I just went, no. Because it uses the predictable like ad blurb that you see on loads of these kind of things now. So it says, I don't know how to pronounce it. Sypha, S-Y-F-A. It says Sypha for the work all nighters, the early risers, the 9-to-5ers, for the target setters, the record breakers, the athletes, the aesthetes, like aesthetics, right? The creatives, the digital natives, for the builders, engineers, number crunchers, and pioneers. High flyers and buyers, dreamers and schemers, the somewhere in betweeners, and probably also for the wankers. But I'll try it and see
Down and one. Down and one.
Well, it is,
down and one.
I think it's designed for that. I love that it's a prototype as well. This could actually kill me because it's not on the shelves yet.
He's just gonna have hair growing out of his face and
it has a strong berry strong berry scent.
Oh, he's doing it. He's doing it down. He's shotting it.
Fucking hell, man!
There we go. How is it?
It's got a kick to it.
I would hope so.
Fucks. Oh, it's horrible. It's like medicine.
Good.
Well, you're not moaning about your bus trip now, are you?
Oh well, I'll get in time. But
why didn't you take 10 of those on the bus trip and make it one to remember?
Mate, apparently it provides clarity, focus, and sparkle. So
we are certainly sparkling.
Well, when am I not? Yeah, that's horrible. Sorry, I've got another one to try next week, so maybe it fares better. I've got a really medicine aftertaste.
This is the problem with this segment. We always just say it's terrible, and then we wonder why these companies don't want to sponsor the podcast. Like I just don't get it. Well, I got star of Final Fantasy 16 Ben Starr to read out an impromptu monster ad last week. Nothing back from that. It's a shame. Joke.
It claims there's no crash at the end of this, so we'll see. I don't see it myself, but
indeed. Story number 2. As you may have noticed, that for the past 2 weeks, this podcast has been the Jordan and Pete show, which I have enjoyed greatly because Pete Donaldson, man of the people, a man that I would speak to on a 10-hour podcast because he just has so many stories. But it's also involved me being in random little pokey hotel rooms because Chris Scullion, the man of the hour, my partner in crime, has been in Nippon. How was it? How long you were away for? How was Bet Summit? And let's do the positive stuff before you get to
there are lots of positives. Obviously, Japan is fantastic. And we went to Bet Summit. Bet Summit this year was excellent. It was, for those not in the know, it's like the kind of leading indie games festival in Japan. And
it looks fantastic.
It's brilliant, and it's in its usual location of, but this time it took over both floors of the venue, so it was bigger than it has been.
Oh, did it
before.
really?
Yeah, so
that's
like
massive.
So it took the whole upstairs and the downstairs bit now. Like it took over them both, which is cool. So the downstairs bit was focused more on kind of experimental stuff, and there were some board games and some really kind of weird student made games. There's one where it was a whack-a-mole game, but people play as the moles, so you have to crouch under a desk that's got holes cut in it and kind of bob your head up to try and stop a hammer from hitting you. And there's one called something like Kick and Loud, and you had to put slippers on, like Japanese slippers on, and there was a mat on the floor, and you had to run like on the mat really fast to build up a bar, and then kick your slipper off into a target, and then scream into a microphone as loud as you can. And this is where the food hall was. People, so you're sitting eating your burger, and every like few minutes you just hear ah. So I was like, I felt really bad for the booth that was next to it. It's just people like kicking their shoes up, just going ah. It's like, God, it's unbelievable. But yeah, there was loads of really good stuff there. I get made to present an award, which I wasn't aware I was doing. That was nice and awkward.
Yeah, that was a nice surprise for Chris. By the way, Chris, they've asked me when you're going to present your award on stage. What?
And it was like the night before. So it's like, by the way, yeah, what are you picking for the award? sorry. But it's weird because the backstage area was like the woman who sings the Pikmin song, because she sang before.
Michelle McManus.
That's the one. She sang before the awards, so she was just sitting like that, and then she went out and like sang you could hear her singing because she's promoting All You Need Is Help, the new Q Games co-op game, which is really cool. But then she sang the Pikmin song, and everyone was like, ah, Pikmin. But then backstage is also where all the big mascots are. So every now and then you hear someone said, and everyone had to like properly like sit to the side while a big enormous like cat kind of shimmied past everyone, because it's like a really narrow hallway. But no, it was good. The game, so many good games. Like there's loads of coverage on VGC. When I'm actually fully awake again, I'm going to put together a video as well, like kind of, because I think a lot of these games are better when you see them. They're better understood when you see them. So I'm going to put together a video montage for the YouTube channel of all the stuff I saw and kind of explaining it in better terms to. So it's definitely worth checking out, because there's lots of really cool stuff there that you won't have heard of yet, but could in a year's time be the sort of stuff everyone's talking about. And yeah, so
I mean, wasn't that like Pathapon's spiritual successor one of the Bet Summit games last year?
Yeah, that was announced last year.
Fair for that.
And then this year they announced Co-Robo, a new Chibi Robo game. So I spoke to them, they got really annoyed because I got someone's name wrong in the interview. And then I was like, yeah, but that's how it's written on their Kickstarter page. So let's take it from that. But so my game of the show was called Sono Kuni, and it's like a hip hop top down game. Like it looks like Hotline Miami, but it's made by a J hip hop crew. During lockdown, they just decided we're going to start making a game. So like it was their first ever game, and it's fantastic. And the guy was just walking about like dressed up like fucking Method Man the entire time. What a guy! But what a game! I can't wait for it. It's out later this year.
Really that description. I'm already like, aye, fine. I'll play that.
It's
no problem at all. I have a question. What was Astro like in real life?
Astro's a lovely guy. Astro's a lovely guy. He was standing and letting all the kids take and adults obviously to get the photo taken with Astro.
No adults.
No adults. Yeah, it's good. He's a lovely chap. The PlayStation had a booth just showing off some of the indie stuff that's out. Nintendo had a Indies Direct booth, but most of those were stuff that's already out. It was just kind of promoting, here's some of the indie games you can play on Nintendo. But if you queued up and played something, they gave you like a towel with Nintendo on it and like kind of kanji. So I just did that just for the towel. But no, it was good. It was like I've got a bag full of crap now because people are constantly handing out flyers and stickers now. So I've got you both Bit Summit t-shirts. So I'll deliver those at the appropriate time, and they're cool.
Deliver it to Andy by hand.
They're really good this time. They're still wrapped up, but
yeah, they look really nice.
It's kind of retro style. It's
Bit Summit do really good t-shirts. They always do good t-shirts.
Yeah, because last year's was 3D.
It's the only reason I go, to be honest.
That entire flight just for a Bit Summit t-shirt.
We're their media partner just so that I could get our logo on their t-shirts.
They are cool shirts. But yeah, overall it was good. Tokyo was warm. Kyoto was an oven. And then but it stayed in the Godzilla hotel and the Godzilla head was closed. So
just a hotel.
The hotel. When you walk in and the first thing you see is there's a big display of Godzilla fighting someone from a movie that came out. Like it's like the 20th anniversary of one of the Godzillas, and there's big props in it, and it looks really cool. And you turn around the corner and there's a door you're supposed to go out to like a patio area where the Godzilla head is. And there's just a big sign on it saying Godzilla head is out of service. Sorry. So you just look through the window at it and go, oh, there he is. But other than that, it was good.
Is he okay?
He seems fine. I think he's like, he was just kind of looking over the edge going, is it time? But no, he's I think they're just maintaining him. But given that his head is so large. Exactly. They kind of like import a big vat of toothpaste. But yeah, so it was good.
You stayed at the Nintendo hotel.
I stayed at Marufukuro for one night. That was really cool. That's cool. They've changed the key rings, Andy. I went to buy a key ring for my nephew, and they've changed the design. It's not the same as the actual key you get anymore.
What does it look like now?
It's like I'll send you a photo of it later. It's like a lighter green, and it's like a more plasticky. I don't know if it's because maybe people can try and mix it up with the real keys.
Worse?
It's different. It's still got the design, but it's a lighter green. It's not the same color as the sign on the door, so arguably it's worse because it's not the same key you get anymore, and it's not the same as the door.
Oh, that's cool. That means that my ones are exclusive.
That's what I was thinking, because it was then we don't sell those ones anymore. There's new design. I was like, all right. So I've got one each now. And yes, I stayed in Marufukuro for one night. It's a really cool place. Stayed another place in Kyoto, which was nice. Andy was very good at choosing hotels for me to stay in.
I mean, he's only been there 200 times.
I know, he's been in every hotel in Japan.
I have a ridiculous spreadsheet for Japan hotels. You would not believe it. Marufukuro, everyone who loves Nintendo should stay there at least once. Yeah, it's just, it feels. I mean, Scully and Chris wrote a piece on the site, and it feels like almost religious.
Yeah,
probably as close to a religious pilgrimage type experience that you could get as a video game fan.
Which is
they've left that building since the 50s, 60s. They just left it dormant.
Yeah, it was totally
because they
abandoned.
moved.
Yeah,
but the Yamauchi family still own. I don't know if they still own it now, right?
Yeah.
They just left it there. So it is literally like a time capsule.
Yeah,
it's all Art Deco and like 1930s. kind of wallpaper and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And they've used as much of the original materials as they can to make art and things. And it's not like a big soulless hotel at all. It's a small boutique. You can almost hear the ghosts, right?
Yeah. It's something like 660
really
rooms
cool
in it or
place.
something. Yeah, it's not got that many rooms, but it's like, but yeah, it was weird because before I went there, I was going, am I going to get a kick out of this? Because it's not really like, it's a Nintendo hotel, but it's not really, because in my head I was like, well, this was like between the 30s and the 50s or something. They didn't really do much then. There was still like toys, but as soon as you get to it and you see the sign on the wall, you get a proper like, lump in the throat. You're going, actually, this is a big deal. This is like,
they've got a library, this special library that's supposed to be one of the the key parts of the hotel. This really beautiful library that's like supposed to be like full of artifacts and blah blah. My home office that I'm in right now is better than that.
Yeah, the library's like, it doesn't even have my books in it. And I was like, what?
I think they got the original company stamps, Nintendo company stamps. Right, because that's a Japanese thing, right? Like everyone kind of has a stamp. So instead of a signature, you'd use like a stamp. So that's like a genuine cool artifact. Other than that, it was stuff they got off of eBay. Oh, look, a man made a glass Game Boy. Okay.
Thanks very much. Like, oh, what else?
It's obviously kind of pales in comparison, but the Nintendo World Store in New York has really nice museum pieces. Like
I would say, well, that's better than
Yeah.
Marifukuro.
Although apparently they no longer have the Gulf War Game Boy, which I get the feeling has been saved for the Nintendo museum.
I would imagine it's because most adults now don't remember the Gulf War.
That's true, yeah.
And don't remember the Game Boy either.
Yeah, that's
what
true.
we need is like a Nintendo 3DS from Afghanistan.
Yeah,
and they'll put that back in.
Exactly,
that's like it's just not.
Yeah,
a Game Boy Advance. Going, what? The what war?
Yeah, a Game Boy Advance found in 9/11. But it was good. It was a lovely trip. It was very enjoyable. A lot of I've bought a lot. I'm putting together a very serious article for VGC about a variety of Japanese snacks. Jordan's lost. I was dancing around it. I was dancing around it, but then I thought, well, the Gulf War. I mean, it all counts.
It was like 25 years ago. Who cares?
Well, I mean,
never forget.
No, I never do. So I'm putting together a very serious article on snacks because I bought a lot of video game themed snacks, ranging from Super Mario chocolate coins to Resident Evil sweets. I've bought some Resident Evil sweets, so I'll test all them out and give them all a very serious review.
If Chris Scullion approaches you and asks if you'd like a Resident Evil sweet, you turn away.
You want a green herb, son? And I'm also putting together a piece on is Street Pass officially dead? So a lovely.
No spoilers.
Oh, no spoilers at all. The lovely Xeon at Nintendo Life. Xeon is it Xeon Grassi?
I'm joking.
Yeah, I was about to say.
No, I was going to feel really bad if I got his name wrong there. But, he did an article once recently for Nintendo Life where he walked about America for a full year trying to get street passes. So I decided, I got in touch with him and says, I'm going to now try it in Japan and see, because if you can't get any in Japan, it's officially dead.
Do you know what? It is a valid point, right? Because if you didn't go to Japan during the height of 3DS, you missed out.
Yeah,
it was amazing.
Yeah,
for someone with ADHD as well, it's compulsive.
Yeah,
what was the cap on people you could get? Was it like 100?
It was 10 at first for a while, and then they totally changed that because everyone was hitting 10.
No, but what was the cap?
Do you mean per?
Yeah, so it was 10 at first.
It was 10, and then maybe it was 100. I remember they increased it. They increased it quite a bit.
Because we're going to get shouted at in the comments. But I hit that cap. Like, you literally every 20 minutes you'd hit the cap.
Yeah, that's crazy
for people joining your Street Pass.
Because
is it one of you two that has Miyamoto's Street Pass, or is that?
I've got it.
Else?
Yeah, both got it.
Yeah, I think I've got it somewhere. But yeah,
on your 3DS presumably.
But there was a time where
it's not in a cage.
If anyone had Miyamoto in a cage, it would be Chris Scullion.
Yeah,
he's got him dipped in gold and an amiibo form.
Yes. But yeah, even living in London back in the day, you would get the tube into work and open your 3DS when you get into the office, and the maximum of 10 would be there. and you get your puzzle pieces, and then go home and you get the maximum of 10 again, until they increase the maximum. But yeah, so I'll not give away the results just now, but the aim was to see whether anyone's still using Street Pass in the 10 days I was there, whether I found anyone. So I will reveal whether Street Pass is or is not officially dead soon on VGC.
It's just going to be a picture of you going like that, or like
Like
the whole article.
But then the travel back was just carnage.
Go on then.
So the total journey time was 36 hours door to door. I got a Uber to the airport, was fine. Very lovely chap. Then the flight, like I couldn't sleep on the flight over at all, and it was like the longest ever. It was like 13 hours, which is okay. This is par for the course for a flight from Japan.
Who were you with? Because me and Andy are really boring about flights.
With BA.
I'm a BA man. Andy hates it.
This time it was
that. They might be listening.
I know.
In private.
I know. Andy's just forfeited any possible upgrades.
Andy doesn't get upgrades.
I know, that's why you're a BA man, because you're jammy.
That's why I'm a BA man, mate.
Yeah.
Yet to have any upgrades.
But yeah, so the flight over was a totally fine flight, but it was still a long flight, and I couldn't sleep the entire time. So I was just like, and the power on my seat didn't work. So I got like 2 hours out my Steam Deck, 4 hours.
Was there any Wi-Fi?
Yeah, there was. We had to pay for it. I just didn't bother.
You should have done this
because the last couple of times I went to Japan, there was no Wi-Fi, so I didn't know if it was a route thing.
There was this time, but I didn't pay for it. But it was an option.
I need to sleep on that flight.
But then, so on the way back, I was like, I need to sleep in this. There's no way I'm not sleeping this time. I have to, because I couldn't cope last time. So I stayed up. Like, I was getting picked up from the airport at 5 a.m, Japan time. So I thought, I'm staying up all night so that I'm shattered by the time I get to the airport. So I did. I stayed up, managed it, got driven to the airport, still awake, sitting, did all this check-in, all the stuff, everyone was fine. Sitting waiting, got talking to this Irish woman. She was like, "Oh, let's talk about. I'm determined to sleep in this." She gave me sleeping pills, like Japanese sleeping pills. I'm like, okay, well, I'll take it. Saved them, or just as I was about to go on the flight, took the pills and got on. Sat down and was absolutely shattered. So I just like KO'd instantly as soon as I sat down in the plane. Woke up, we're still at the airport. I'm like, fuck, what? I sat to the guy, he says, we've been on the tarmac for an hour and a half. We haven't moved yet. I'm like,
Jesus.
What? So I woke up and the plane hadn't left. and then the plane took off.
Good sleeping pill, so you got 90 minutes.
I got 90 minutes, and then the plane took off, and I was wide awake for the rest of it. I was like, So the guy next to me, amazingly, look, the power worked at least, so I got a bit of Yakuza 0 played, a bit of Nintendo World Championships played. The guy next to me starts looking through his entertainment to see what to watch, and for some reason it decides on, what's that film where Emma Stone just gets pumped over and over and over again?
Something Things, Odd Things, is it?
Poor Things, is that it?
Poor Things, yeah.
He starts watching that, like on the flight, and it's not censored in any way. And I'm like, I thought they censored films on flights, but apparently,
really, was it full text?
Aye, and I'm like,
oh no, I've had that.
Yeah.
I've got a story for you. No, we're
so
on that subject.
I'm like,
carry on.
So he's watching it. I'm like, what? And I'm just sitting like trying not to watch it. Just sitting and watch like that. I'm like, all right. So I'll look over a bit, like to see what other people are watching, and just it's like perfect comic timing. One guy's watching Oppenheimer just as what's her face gets her baps at Florence Pugh, and I'm like, am I on fucking Austin Powers plane, like by mistake? No one's going on. So
you're like, walking up and down the aisles, like rubbing your thighs, like Rick and Bob. Like,
what's going on? So finally, we they get our dinner and everything. The dinner was okay actually for a flight. Guy later on the flight, the guy puts the same film on again from the start and watches it again. I'm like, there's hundreds of films on here, and you're watching it again. And I'm just, so finally we land, right? And I'm like, get me off here. Got off, get to the Megabus. Megabus is delayed for an hour and a half. So I'm saying we don't leave for we're meant to leave at 9:30. We leave it just after 11. Apparently now Megabus don't do comfort breaks. So so they didn't stop at service stations or anything. They did the entire 9-hour drive. About 2 hours to go. The across from me is a dad and a girl who's like 14, 15. And I think they were from New Zealand. And suddenly I hear a kind of kerfuffle. And the guy turns around and shouts to like his wife, who must be a few rows back. She says she's got to be sick. She says she's got to be sick. And she's going, I think I'm going to be sick. I'm going to be sick. And suddenly, so I'm just like, fucking headphones on. I don't want to hear all this. And it's all, have you ever seen Backdraft? You know when they open the door and the flames just go, a smell of vomit just like came over me. I was like, oh, what's going on here? So yes, that was my trip. It was just like everything that could have annoyed me. But yeah, so I was from going from a sex plane to a vomit bus was just like not ideal.
My question, Chris Scullion, is you landed in Heathrow, presumably.
Correct.
Yes? There is a 45-minute flight to Edinburgh.
I know, but it's pricey. The BA is the only one that goes.
But my answer to that is always when you're on the megabus after like 4 or 5 hours or whatever, and someone's been sick on the back of your head. If someone says to you, if you pay me 200 quid right now, I'll transport you there, you'd give them the money.
Well, definitely. By the time, like, I'm obviously remember back
it only seems like a good idea before you're sat on the megabus.
But back in my official Nintendo magazine days, I would regularly get overnight buses. But I keep forgetting that I was in my 20s then, and I could cope with it then. And I didn't. And I somehow in my brain, I think, well, a 41-year-old man can still handle this. But my legs don't work that way anymore. And
you definitely get like a lower tolerance.
And they used to. They very much used to stop at Kiel services, which was always my kind of respite. But no, full way, like full 9-hour drive, no stopping.
I once to your plane boobies story. I once I think I was flying back. This is like I think it was Christ. I think it's like Black Ops 1.
Glory days.
Nice.
So it was in LA, and it was Air New Zealand, and they're really good, by the way. They've got these big, massive planes for obvious reasons because they're used to flying to New Zealand. And I had the very back window seat, so it was just 2 seats, like on the. So sometimes you just get 2 seats like off of like separate from everything else. Yeah. And there's a very, very elderly man sat in the aisle,
watching Debbie Does Dallas,
who was a bit like. Who's the guy from Breaking Bad who can't speak?
I've never seen it.
You've lost me.
No one watches Breaking Bad.
Never seen it. I'm afraid.
All right. Well, that conversation's over, isn't it?
I can picture him. I can picture a man.
I found the only 2 geezers who've not seen Breaking Bad.
Sorry, I'm picturing a man.
Every single person listening to this podcast empathizes with my position.
That's okay.
Now.
We're doing it for them anyway. So,
for Christ's sake.
Okay.
So anyway, yeah, a very, very elderly man who was basically flying home to die. Like just couldn't speak or move.
He had the urn with him. He had the urn with him under his arm.
To the point where the stewardesses were basically like, "Could you please just climb over the seat because we can't move him." So I had to like awkwardly, like literally, I don't mean like go over him, climb over the back of the seat, like fall into the seat. And it's like obviously 12-hour flight. So anyway, like hours and hours pass, and I watched. Do you remember the movie Hot Tub Time Machine?
Oh yeah.
Oh, you know that, do you?
Oh, yeah.
You know that one?
What classic.
Come on. Not one of the best TV shows of all time.
Listen, I don't watch this.
Of course I've seen Hot Tub Time Machine.
I don't watch this niche French cinema you call, Breaking Bad?
There's a scene in Hot Tub Time Machine which is playing it up for comedy, which is like full frontal nudity, where the woman is having sex with a guy. I think it's someone he's related to, like his mother or something. That's the gag. Like they're playing it up for shock value, basically. He slept the whole flight. He woke up at that exact moment
and died.
No, as far as I know. But he just woke up at that exact moment, turned over, and there were a massive pair of boobies.
Woke up at that exact moment, rock hard, instantly died.
Brilliant. That's amazing. I was sure they used to censor stuff on. Well, they certainly. I know they still edit plane crashes out of movies, obviously. But it's that's. But I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe BA put Poor Things or whatever it's called on there. I couldn't believe a guy then watched it and then watched it again. Like when there's like multiple movies on there, it was just fun times.
Well, welcome back, Chris. I'm glad to have you back.
Thank you very much.
Andy's pissing off to Japan shortly, so we'll compare experiences when he returns. I was in Canada for TennoCon. My only stories are, and across from the hotel, there was a place called the Hasty Mart, which had 1 star on Google, but it was the closest place that looked like it had energy drinks. I went in. The fridge at the back of the shop was broken, so he was just using it for storage. But he had 5 like immaculate fridges full of energy drinks. I was like, my man. Went up to the counter, and they had 2 sealed copies of the Naked Brothers Band on PlayStation 2 and a sealed copy of MLB The Show 2007 on PS2.
What a game.
And I was like, what is this place like? Did I walk through the door to the Hasty Mart and travel through time? Yeah, Canada's nice. It was absolutely roasting. The Canadian dollar is so cheap that I got like a big plate of wings and a massive cocktail for like £13. So saws about your economy, Canada, but for big JGM, it was like going to Brazil again. It was really exploiting these impoverished Canucks.
That's okay.
But yeah, TennoCon was cool. Nice people. N-Star was there. We have a bonus podcast on this very feed where we talked absolute shite for 50 minutes, and then about 10 minutes we talked about all the games that he's doing. He's doing some cool stuff, let me tell you, some stuff that we didn't talk about in the podcast, but he's doing some cool stuff. Exclusive. N-Star will be in more games.
When you mentioned the convenience store there, I discovered something that I think if anyone from Walls or any other kind of confectionery, like they specialise in ice cream, are listening, they should probably maybe try and steal this because I would like more of these. Someone was selling an ice lolly. It was like an orange ice lolly, but it had actual frozen tangerine pieces inside the ice lolly.
Oh, I saw that. It's funny that I saw that on YouTube
That's
yesterday.
Absolutely fantastic. It changed my life because as the ice lolly melts, so too do the frozen fruit pieces, and it becomes actual fruit. So
that sounded like a proverb there.
I'll tell you what was less good though was yogurt orange Fanta.
Oh, Jesus.
And I don't know if it's like a limited edition, but you look at the bottle, and the top of the bottle's white and the bottom of the bottle's orange, like inside it, and you're supposed to mix it a bit before you start drinking it, and it's got orange jelly pieces at the bottom of it, and it's like an orange yogurt drink, and it's not ideal. It's not good.
That's grim.
It's bad.
I would try it for the sake of science.
Yeah.
Okay, when we come back, we have the news stories on the pending video game actor strike. We have Capcom, and we have a Legacy of Kain remaster. We'll see you in a minute. And we are back. Some breaking news that happened last night. Video game workers who are members of SAG-AFTRA, the labor union for American actors, have called for strike action, which will begin July 26th, which is the day we are recording this. The strike was called after the union failed to negotiate acceptable protections around the use of AI for its members. Obviously, we support actors, but I think what people are pretty selfishly asking about this is how this will affect big games. So, Andy, does this seem like it'll affect stuff that's imminent? Is this stuff that we don't even know about yet? How wide-reaching does this seem like it's going to be?
Well, this is potentially everything. I mean, you look at the publishers that they were negotiating with, and they're, majority of all the big publishers. And it's not just that, it's then kind of like outsourcing production companies who then work on the bigger series, work on all of Sony's first party games, work on, GTA and Halo and Destiny and, Tomb Raider. It potentially covers everything. I mean, the last time they had a strike, video game actors, it lasted an entire year, to my knowledge. So, yeah, I mean, absolutely. It's. I'd say the most concerning thing from that point of view is that the two statements that have been released kind of contradicts each other somewhat. I mean, SAG-AFTRA have been damning in, their claim that these publishers are, stalling in agreeing, AI protections for their actors, but a spokesperson for the publishers has basically played that down. It helps them agree the vast majority of everything, and they won't work with us on the last bit. So it's obviously a super important point, because this is the protest of their careers.
Yeah.
If this doesn't happen, I mean, you got to look at it, especially from the point of view of video games. They can scan someone in once and then just use AIs, put them in every game in the future, and not pay them for that. We don't need you to come and perform for this game because we've already got you in. AI can fill it in. So
the thing is as well, there's ways it could. I could see ways developers would, or probably more publishers would want to use it, and I can see the benefits of it, but it completely is an awful deal for the actors, like you say, because I can see situations where with live service games, if there is a character involved in a live service game and there's continually new scenarios being added and new stuff, or like a football game where the commentary changes as statistics change over the season, and they could keep updating the commentary, and instead of getting the commentator in to record new lines, they just use AI to make them say new things. I can see why they would want to do it, but obviously that's a massive up yours to the people who are actually recording those voices.
The technology is only benefiting their bottom line.
Exactly. They don't have to then pay them. It's not benefiting
the user or the creator. It's like me imagining a scenario where I was like, right, can you go and play this game for a week and then just tell me on the phone for 30 minutes, what your thoughts are on it, and then I'll just have an AI write a review based on scraping all your previous ones, and I'll pay you, a fraction of the cost because you've not written a review. You've just told me for 30 minutes. Who's that benefiting? It's not benefiting you. It's not benefiting a reader.
Yeah,
because it's not going to be the same quality. It's technology just to screw over creatives.
Yeah. So in terms of games that this will affect, there's a search function on the SAG-AFTRA website where you can enter like the production titles of games and see if they're struck or not. The one that people immediately searched was GTA 6, which is codenamed Americas, and that is listed as one of the games that performers are not cleared to work on. This game is either struck or non-union. Members should withhold covered services for this game. So yeah, there was a statement floating about I saw on Twitter that's like, this won't affect games that entered production before late last year, but it's all kind of all over the place. I think until we get more clarity on what this affects, like it's hard to tell. But yeah, I hope they get everything they want. We support the strikers. We can wait for games as long as the people making them are treated better. But yes,
can I tell you an AI story recently that made me quite worried about how good it's getting? Because obviously you see loads of stories online about how AI messed this up and messed that up, and I thought
Chris Scullion recorded an hour podcast with who he thought was Jordan Midler.
They started being really nice. I was like, wait a minute, this can't be right. Yeah. So I can't remember which one I was testing out, one of these AI things, and my test for AI is how does it deal with Z-list personalities in video game media, such as myself. So I've asked it who is Chris Scullion, and it said Chris Scullion's a games journalist. They gave like my career, and it was pretty accurate. And at the end it said, here are some examples of Chris Scullion's work, and it linked to some of my stories that I'd done. I was like, okay, that's fine. That's just been crawled from Google. It says he also wrote this review. I'd done like a freelance review of the Switch versions of FIFA every now and then. I said he also wrote this review on FIFA, whatever it was on the Switch, with the humorous headline, "Don't waste your sterling on this." And I was like, how does it know that's humorous? So I typed in, why is that humorous? And it said Raheem Sterling is a player who blah, 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 blah. By saying don't waste your sterling on this, it's saying that you shouldn't waste pound sterling, the UK currency, but also that Raheem Sterling is
someone probably explained it on Reddit.
But it's weird. It's just weird that
like it's all like it's really impressive now because it's scraping content made by humans.
It just feels
the longer that it exists and it starts training on its own spat out answers. It's just going to get worse and worse and worse.
It's getting concerning that it's figuring things out like this. It's not ideal, but yeah, the voice actor thing's concerning.
Yeah, I loved your FIFA Switch reviews. They were really good on IGN. Next story: Capcom wants to make Mega Man again and won't scrap physical games. Over 90% of Capcom sales are now physical. They expect that to, or now digital rather. They expect that to go to over 93%. That's pretty standard. However, what I think is more interesting potentially, because I've been wondering if they would do this, Chris Scullion, new Mega Man. Do they just do like a Mega Man 12 in the style of a classic? Do they make a third person in the RE engine, the greatest games engine of all time?
Well, they've done it. They've done new ones a few times now, haven't they? They did 9 and 10 on the Wii, and then they did 11, I think.
Yeah, they did 11.
But I don't know if it's sold. And it's like people keep. I mean, it would have sold, but not like millions and millions and millions of copies. And it's just they're in this weird position where there is a loud group of fans, myself included, who keep saying, we want more Mega Man, we want more Mega Man. And then they bring out more Mega Man, and they're not obviously not doing Monster Hunter numbers. So it's like, how frequently are they going to make these games? Because like we always
if there's
say,
anyone who can work out, it's Capcom, right?
Yeah.
They are absolutely at the top of. They don't miss, do they?
No.
Capcom right now. You'd be very hard pushed to find any fan of gaming who doesn't absolutely love Capcom right now.
Yeah.
Oh, undefeated.
I totally trust them to find, kind of somewhere for Mega Man to sit, and maybe that's doing what they've been doing, with the last couple of entries, right? Is making a retro, style game. Maybe that's what it is, but.
I mean, whatever it is, I'll buy it.
See them,
yeah,
I could so easily see them making a new Mega Man and it coming out and people being like, "It's unbelievable!" Like they've done something to it that's just made it like the kind of peak of the genre. Maybe they change it up a little bit. They don't make it completely formulaic, but
Mega Woman
at this point, Mega Woke more like. At this point, I'll play whatever they want. They released that new Kitsugami game that I saw someone over the shoulder at SGF playing, and I'm like, well, it's a current Capcom game, so at least I'll give it a try at least.
What about Mega Man?
Oh, that's better.
He every time he shoots him, he just hits the air.
For visa reasons,
we're gonna have to release a statement, and
that happened as soon as I landed.
When
I landed, I was like, "That was in the news." I was like, "Oh, okay, I've missed that entire thing." So what? I've got an alibi.
Chris is not.
We'll release a statement listening to the concerns of American fans. Anyway, Chris, this is a partially you story because I cited your stupid Twitter account in it. Nintendo launched some new gashapons in some of their stores, and they're like little key rings with controller buttons for the N64, the GameCube, but it turns out these buttons can be used on actual controllers. Chris, describe the scene in the Nintendo store.
Carnage. It was all right.
It was like the Van Gogh Museum all over again. People were getting chibbed. Like,
it's funny because it was busier the day I got to Japan, because I arrived in Tokyo on Marine Day, which is like a public holiday although it was a weekday, it was heaving. And when I went up to the Nintendo Tokyo store, they were giving out tickets for when you could turn up, which I'd never seen them do before. So
I mean, that store's a nightmare on a normal day.
Yeah, so that was busier then, but certainly the day they announced these Gashapon toys, and just by pure chance, I was there the day they tweeted them in the morning, and I was going there that day anyway. So I completely forgot that they were going to be there. And I was shopping about, and there was an enormous queue going all the way around the back wall of the shop and out the door. And I was like, I thought it was some Nintendo World Championships giveaway or something. I didn't know what it was. Walked down the queue, and it was the Gashapon machines where me and Andy were at last year, like getting the NES and Famicom ones that they'd done. And now, like you say, they've added N64 and GameCube and Super Famicom ones. And American SNES ones, I think, as well, with the purple buttons.
Yeah,
is that right?
Both
they were always there.
Or were they there before?
So these SNES, sorry.
Yeah. The queue was right out the door, and it was 600 yen each, so like £3 each. And I think they were limiting people to 3 or 4, so you wouldn't be able to get the full set. You can just stand there with like thousands of yen, because
you
of the
get
queue.
4 C sticks.
Exactly. 4 N64 analog sticks, and that's your.
You should just set up a corner for swapsies.
Pretty much, get the ones you want. But yeah, it's I dare say in a couple of weeks' time it'll die down, and if anyone's going to Japan, you'll be able to just stand there and get the ones you want.
I don't doubt for a second right now I can open
fine.
Japanese eBay and get the full set.
Yeah, a markup.
I'm surprised you haven't, to be honest.
I know. I thought you'd
there in a week.
Have them all hanging from your ears like earrings right this minute.
It wouldn't get here before I got there.
I don't know. I've bought stuff off Japanese eBay, and the speed at which they send them over is unbelievable. And the amount of like sweeties and greetings cards that are like with one Pokemon card that I've bought.
Everyone's in my case just now, but I'll unpack it later. I went to Family Mart, which for those unaware is like them and 7-Eleven are the two big kind of, and Lawson as well, I suppose, are the big kind of convenience stores. But Family Mart every now and then do kind of homeware stuff at the very front for a limited period, and I managed to get like Kirby and Waddle Dee like steel cups, and a Pikmin set with like a big Pikmin glass, and an enormous ice cube maker that makes one of the water Pikmin that you can dump in the glass. It's fantastic.
Oh, nice.
So yeah, that's
How much? Right, Chris Gillian,
Go
man
on.
to man. How much did you spend on shite? Roughly.
Not as much as I thought I was going
Because
to.
if I'm going to Japan, I'm putting aside like 500 quid for shite.
You'll get a lot of shite for that. Like I filled 2 cases and didn't go anywhere near a grand, I don't think.
Okay.
On stuff, and that's including
Do
like
you feel like you got a lot?
Yeah.
So I'm looking on Japanese eBay right now. You can buy the whole set for 35 quid,
That's not bad.
which is way less than I thought.
Yeah, I was expecting it to be more than that. But yeah, no, I mean, especially because the way the exchange rate is just now, like you're getting reasonable prices on stuff. But yeah, I got like decent stuff. To be fair, a lot of it was smaller stuff for my daughter and stuff. But like I bought Nintendo World Championships, the special edition, and that Theatre Rhythm Curtain Call, which was kind of, they were selling it off. I got them both for like 40 quid combined.
Oh, nice.
So like the prices are okay. And a lot of the places there are tax free. Like if you show your passport, they'll take another 10% off if you hit a certain amount. So yeah, if you look around, you can get lots of stuff for not that much. It's a really good time to be going. Yeah.
VGC,
It's
the video
not.
game
Stay
sponsor.
away.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I mean.
VGC,
That's
the
what I mean.
video game podcast is sponsored by Visit Japan.
Sponsored by Japan.
Can you imagine if we got that? If we got like a Japan tourist board sponsorship? I mean, 3 white guys. Who else would they sponsor? Very finally, San Diego Comic-Con is currently ongoing. One Lucy James texted me last night being like, saying that she thought someone was cosplaying as Jimmy Savile, but that's just how this woman looked. And I asked her if she went up and spoke to her, but she didn't.
Probably for the
but
best.
yeah, Comic-Con. Yeah. now then.
I'm glad you made a joke that made my one seem less offensive. I appreciate that.
Oh yeah, let's get a poll going in the chat. What's more offensive, Jimmy Savile or 9/11? Come on now. That's the podcast title if I was still titling these. Very finally, a Legacy of Kain statue was seen at Comic-Con, and in the base of the statue it says Legacy of Kain 1 and 2 remaster, a game that does not exist. That's cool that they're coming out again because they're currently unplayable, but Chris, this is a very stupid way for a game to leak, isn't it?
It's not ideal. I'm trying to think of similar kind of dopey leaks like that. I'm sure there've been others in the past.
The best one. Do you remember it? When this is about 10 years ago, just randomly, completely random, some guy on YouTube uploaded a video in a barn playing Halo 4. Do you remember that?
Vaguely.
Yeah. Tell the story for those.
That's it. It's just footage came up, and everyone obviously goes, "Is this real?" And it turned out it was absolutely real. He was playing a beta of Halo 4 before it was announced in a barn, like surrounded by straw.
That's amazing.
Like haystacks.
I always like the ones that are like, someone will just take a picture of this random keyring showed up at my work and it says the name of an unannounced Assassin's Creed game on it, and there's millions of pounds of marketing out the window. Like...
Oh no, the best ones are when people. I think this happened with Tomb Raider. I think it happened with Ubisoft as well. When there's just a person on a train or a plane, just with a laptop open.
Yeah.
I told you that happened to me at SGF, like, because my hotel was attached to another hotel, and I walked through the lobby, and someone was preparing like a document for a game that I was going to see, and I was like, mate, there is hundreds of journalists here. Like,
I think that happened. It's happened with Rise of the Tomb Raider.
Yeah,
they had like a whole like kind of presentation open, and someone like took a little picture. They were sat next to them on the subway.
McDonald's has done it once or twice as well, haven't they? Because McDonald's McDonald's were responsible for all the Super Mario Brothers movie artwork coming out first, and it not as big because the game had already been and gone, but the multiverses stuff, multiverses reappeared in McDonald's first before it relaunched. So that was when people realised it was coming back, because McDonald's Australia said, "Oh yeah, we're doing multiverses toys." And everyone's like, "Oh,
well, this stuff has to get produced so far in advance."
Exactly.
Like, it's surprising that it doesn't happen more. To be honest, see, any time that I turn up to like a preview event for a game that's unannounced and they have T-shirts for it, I'm like, did you just do them here? Like, someone must have seen
somebody's
that.
in the back with a printer with T-shirt transfer
That's a good point,
paper.
Yeah. But there's a certain level of trust with the press. Like, there's a lot of misunderstanding. I think that where, you know, among some like kind of readership, where they think that if you're a journalist, you're just like, you're leaking unannounced stuff, right?
Yeah.
Where actually I'd argue it's the opposite. Probably a journalist is defined by what they don't, publish as much as what they do.
Yeah.
We always, like, whenever something leaks or someone, you know, kind of covers an unannounced game, it's very rare that everyone doesn't already know about it.
Yeah.
I mean, that's pretty much always the case.
Yeah.
It's just, you know, other people choose that there's no value in publishing that. I mean, the biggest example I can remember, I went to Ubisoft Montreal about probably exactly 10 years ago, actually. And it's when they had like, that slate that year was like Far Cry 4 and I can't
Division
really
2
remember.
was that the same year?
I can't remember. It would have been Division 1, mate.
Yeah, for 4 it would have been, yeah.
You're talking 10 years, like 2014, but definitely Far Cry 4, the Tibet one. So I interviewed their head of creative at Ubisoft Montreal. I was on my own. It was a single journalist trip. I did a piece for Edge magazine and CVG before we closed. And I got like full carte blanche, basically, like tour of the studio. Who do you want to speak to? And I sat down with the head of creative at Ubisoft Montreal, you know, in their office, spoke to him for like an hour. And I noticed during the interview, the PR next to me just like proper start panicking. Like you could see panic on their face, like they're just clenching. And why? Obviously, it's really distracting. You're trying to have a conversation, do an interview. And eventually I noticed that the whiteboard behind this person, written on it was every game they had planned for the next 10 years. I'm not joking. So this is 2014. They had every Assassin's Creed, every new IP going to 2020, like 2 or something like that. They had like For Honor on there, wasn't announced. You know, like every Assassin's Creed, the black flags and all the rest of it.
But it's like you say, it's earning trust sometimes gets you better coverage, because the one I always remember is after DJ Hero came out, I was like, I'm in love with this game. I was at Official Nintendo magazine at the time. I said I want to do a feature on the making of DJ Hero, just to celebrate DJ Hero for no reason, just to phone Activision says, can we go and visit Freestyle Games, who were in London at the time? Come and talk to them about how they made DJ Hero, because we knew they were still active because they were making DLC for it. And they said, yeah, come over. So they booked a visit and came and sat with them. They started talking. He's talking about how they made the game. He says, "Oh yeah, and when we were trying to come up with songs for DJ One, and we got in touch with." And after about an hour or so, they stopped to get like coffee and that. I says, "Listen, mate, you keep saying DJ One, which makes it blatantly clear there's a DJ Hero 2 coming." And his face went totally white. I says to him, "Look, I says I'm not going to mention it, but be careful when you start talking to other people, because someone else will." Report that DJ Hero
that used to be like the trust was obviously it's changed in these days, where there are a lot of people about where they will just publish stuff.
But as soon as his face went white and realised it made a backside of it. But when I said to him, "Don't worry about it, I'm not going to do it," and they totally changed. He said, "Oh, wait to this," and he brought out like a big wooden prototype turntable, like to show how they'd come up with ideas, and went through every button. He says, "Oh, wait to this," and he brought out like a Mac with like 30 unused mixes that they'd put in like the prototype and they never used, and let me listen to like all the different mixes that were never in DJ Hero and stuff like that. And it's like, I don't think he would have done that if he thought.
People have to understand that benefits our readership.
Yeah, I got a much better feature out of it.
That benefits that exactly.
Yeah.
It doesn't benefit our readers if developers and publishers are scared shitless of us.
And plus,
showing us.
Plus, I could have,
because you get less insight, right? You get less access.
Plus, I could have left and went online and written DJ Hero 2 is coming, and all that would happen is a million other sites would take that and run with it as well. And very good. We got half an hour of
Activision music games.
Yeah, exactly.
Like in that era of Activision music games, that is the least surprising thing.
And I would have got half an hour of traffic, and then that's it. Whereas I ended up with a really good feature that I was really happy with instead. So
that's the thing. Like, if the three of us posted to VGC everything that we know, we would have the greatest day ever. But then we'd be completely fucked.
I know, we'd have no job.
Like, it would just ruin absolutely everything. Like, it's.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, look, obviously, it's not all access. Is not everything. It's not all about access, right? It's I don't think anyone can accuse us, especially of being precious on. on that front. The point I'm trying to make is it's not the access, it's the time you're afforded, the conversations you can have. When a lot of interviews that I do, especially Japan side ones, so this is a bit of inside baseball for you. In Japan, obviously their journalists work very, very different to us. And when you're dealing with them on their turf, not through international kind of subsidiary, so to speak, and you're working within their rules, they're used to seeing the transcript of your interviews before you publish. Now, that's a huge no-no in the West. And Western publishers understand that. They would never ask because you would never allow them, right? Like, of course, you're not going to. But in the early days when I started doing Japanese interviews, and I was kind of told, like, look, this is just how it is. Like, they want to see it before it goes up. Okay. So I let them do it. And they, to this day, they never, like, if you're dealing direct with a Japanese studio, they never change a word.
Yeah.
They'll correct some typos. So there you go.
Yeah.
But the point I was getting to, I digress there, is that it kind of like changed my mindset to a lot of interviews I do now, especially the Joanne side ones, I will say, like, just speak freely. I would rather you retract later than have a really, like, awkward, guarded conversation. Like, I don't know if I should say that because how's it going to look? I haven't really considered because that's what you got to keep in mind. I've been a game. People have interviewed me. I've done 2 E3s, GDCs as a developer. You can go on Google now and interview Andy Robinson, Google Andy Robinson, and find journalists interviewing me. So I know what it's like the other way around. You will be, more guarded, especially at trade shows. You've got your talking points, etc. You don't want to say something without fully considering how it could come across on a forum, on a news headline. So, from my experience, you're better off giving them that, ability to say, look, that stuff that I said about this, like, I'd rather you didn't cover it. Fine. Yeah. Because the reader will benefit from a whole ton more of stuff that they have talked about that they wouldn't otherwise. Yeah. If you were, being more, kind of granularly obtuse about it.
Speaking of Japanese interviews, keep an eye out on VGC soon. I've got an interview with Yukes, the makers of the AEW game, where I ask them about how they feel about the WWE games, and they answer. So that's one to keep an eye out for.
Interesting.
I'll get the wrestling. That genuinely will get the wrestling community, because it was a question. I'll not give you the answer now, but the question I asked him was, when the WWE games started struggling, did you think that's a shame, or did you think, see, it's not so easy without us? And they answered it. So
they thought, get it up you. Okay, that's it for this week's bumper podcast. Send any questions, comments, and concerns to podcast@videogameschronicle.com. Check out patreon.com/videogameschronicle to support our work and our burgeoning caffeine addiction. Last call on winning a PS5. Just search "win a PS5" on VGC for all the details. Thank you for listening. Follow us on Twitter @Jordan Midler, @Andy_VGC, @Scully1888, @VGC_news. We'd like to thank the great Grant Kirkhope for VGC's podcast theme. Until next time, say goodbye, Chris.
Goodbye, Chris.
Say goodbye, Andy.
Goodbye, and have a look at our Patreon.
Patreon.com/videogameschronicle, and we'll see you next time.